Alright, well, it's the middle of the week, and I think tonight I'll put the cam on, and I'll put the cylinder head on, and we'll do a compression test. Let me explain what I had to do to the cam. If you remember back to the disassembly videos, you'll see that the pin for the cam, the actual shaft that the cam rode on, wasn't really a pin. It was a square head bolt, which was this bolt here. This was, I don't believe it's original, but it's what the engine had when I got it. You can see it's obviously, I'm not sure if that groove was cut in there on purpose or what the concept was, but this is what was on there. How it was set up was, get over here, go down. It sat about there. The cam rode on this portion, and there was a nut securing the bolt over here, and you can see this bolt has a cross hole drilled in it. Now there's a cross hole here. You can't really, there's a right there if you can see it. I'll have to get a flashlight. There's a cross hole there, and there was no pin driven through it when I got the engine. There was just a nut on the end of this bolt. So the bolt was free spinning, and I'm guessing, being that it was never a very good fit, and the fact that everything was free spinning caused this this severe wear right here. So it had to go. Can't have this. That's a 5/8 bolt, or it was. So original plan was to screw the hole up, bore out the cam. This is the cam gear, a size larger, and put a bushing in it. Well, I opted to not have to do all that work. I just bored it out. It's a 3/4 inch hole, and we have a 3/4 inch hole in the block. Put the whole block on the mill, and just drilled it straight through. And this is going to be my new pin with the camshaft it's going to ride on. It's another piece of that 3/4 stainless, same stuff that I used for the wrist pin. Nice stuff. We have one hole, this one here, for a cotter pin, which will secure the camshaft onto the shaft, or onto the pin, and a cross hole drilled to match the cross hole drilled in the block, and I will put a roll pin through that. Now I've ground this pin in such a way that, I'll show you, the cam rides freely on it, the cam gear I should say, but the pin itself, if I can find there, is pretty tight fit when it comes down to actually putting it all the way in. Like, I can't pull this in any farther. I'm actually going to have to tap it with a hammer and align the cross hole and insert the roll pin. I believe that it's going to work quite well, be very secure. I'm not going to have to worry about it. So I'll come back in a second and we'll do the installation of that. Real quick with a flashlight, there's a shot of the cross hole that's in the block. Now, it's not drilled on center, I'll say that. I don't know if it was factory drilled or, I don't know, drilled by a previous owner. But let me show you the pin. You can clearly see by looking at the pin that the hole is not in the center. I didn't want to drill any more holes in the block, so I just drilled this pin to match. I'm not worried about the strength, it'll be plenty strong. Just a bit funky that it's off center, but oh well. Alright, I'm ready to install the cam. Let me zoom in for you there. There. Yeah. Find my timing marks. Pin. One spacer or bushing will go between the pin and the block, or the cam gear and the block. I'm going to set the cam on the pin, because if I push the pin all the way through at first, it won't be able to wedge the cam onto the pin with the flywheel in place. Find my timing mark on the cam. Can't see it. Oh, this is pretty bad. I should have marked it a little bit better. That's not it. Oh, maybe that is it. Alright, I found it. Sorry about that. So, let's see. An eye on the timing mark. Might be in the shot. I believe that's it. Oh, the bushing just fell out. Okay. Make sure the mark's correct. Yep. Right. Okay, I'm going to tap the pin all the way in. Alright. Then I'm going to put the roll pin in. Almost. Okay. Gonna show you what that looks like. Have cam gear on the shaft. There's the hole for the cotter pin. over here. There's the spacer. Over here farther. There's the roll pin. And the cam pin. Ready to go. Nice and secure. Just come with a cotter pin on that. Might need a little bit of, need a little spacer there on that cam for the cotter pin. Right size pin. Okay. Gonna do that one. And camshaft is on. Sorry. There you go. All set. Come back, put the cylinder head on. Alright, well I know I cheated on you a little bit, and I put the magneto bracket on, the governor support, and the push rod. I obviously put that on off camera. Reason being is, putting the magneto bracket on is really simple. It's pretty much just like putting the head on. Just put the gasket on. No big deal. 2 bolts, 2 nuts. No big deal. And the governor bracket, was kind of a bugger to do because I had to reshim the actual bracket, because that the push rod slides through there. It's actually a little bit tight, but it'll wear in. Make sure to keep that oiled. Yeah, and being that the gap was so small, I had to actually use aluminum shim, also known as soda can. So they're about 4 thousandths each, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, it was kind of a bugger to get them all lined up and get all the holes punched for the dowel pins and everything. So I'll show you how to shim when I do the main bearings and the connecting rod. I just figured I'd get those things on. Alright, it's time to install the cylinder head. I have made my own head gasket out of just regular gasket material. I guess it's maybe about 1/8 of an inch thick, a little bit less. And I have, you can see I've put on it this gasket. Well, it's actually anti-seize compound. It's called copper-based anti-seize. Some people call it copper coat, all different kinds of things. But I use it for gaskets and whatnot too. It really works well when you have like a rough, uneven casting. You don't want to use silicone or anything. You don't really want to coop these things up with silicone. Yeah, so I treat the head gasket. I paint it both sides with this copper coat stuff, and I let the oil, which is part of the mixture here, soak into the gasket, which leaves like a dry copper on it. It's very, very fine copper powder. It's really neat stuff, and it just kind of gives it a good texture and a good finish, good for sealing up against the cast iron head and everything. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to paint a little coat on the cylinder and a little thin coat on the head, spread it around, and then we'll be ready to put it on. show you my finger. I don't know if you can tell, but the copper is so fine that if I scrape it with my finger, clean the gunk off, the copper is still in between the ridges of my fingerprint. That's how fine it is. Very nice stuff. Gasket on. Pretty sure it's this way. Cylinder head. That's in there. Put a little coat on that. And of course, some on the head studs because it is an anti-seize compound, so you might as well use it as it was intended. One thing to remember with these Hercules engines and other engines, of course, that use this similar setup, put the return springs on the push rod for the push rod first. Put the return springs on because the head has the guide for the push rod. Put the head on, you can't get the springs on. So I've made that mistake twice. So I've learned from it now. So we'll set the head on there. Okay, and we'll tighten them down. This lower one here is kind of a bugger to do. You can't really get a long turn out of it without the wrench hitting either the push rod or the rocker arm support. You can kind of try to bite it from the side, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. Alright, apologize for the interruption. Finish tightening these. Don't have to kill them. It's not too critical for torque. That's that. Heads on. This video is getting pretty long, I think, by now. So, I believe compression test will be a little clip I'll post next. So, yeah, that's it. Heads on.